5 per 100,000 people after increasing by 18% in the past week. Dr. Martin Daly, a former president of the Irish Medical Organisation, says things will get even worse.
It's extremely concerning for our health service and all the people who work in the health services. There's no surprise in the medical community that this is happening. The trend has been there, and it's likely that the numbers are going to continue to go up for another number of weeks before it plateaus out. This has really big consequences for the impact on health services, both in primary care, general practice and in the hospital sector.
The Health Minister has accused independent TD Verona Murphy of spreading anti-vax information in the Dáil. Murphy claimed a new study suggests there's no difference in how infectious someone with COVID is, whether they are vaccinated or not. The claim came during a Dáil debate on extending the government's emergency COVID powers until February the 9th. In the chamber, TD Verona Murphy clashed with the Health Minister Stephen Donnelly.
In fact, recent studies have shown that a vaccinated person is every bit as likely to transmit this virus as a non-vaccinated person. Therefore, why are government continuing to divide society on this basis? Some of the language used by government ministers over the last few weeks when talking about the unvaccinated have been very discriminatory and sinister.
Anti-vax information like this in the chamber.
The Taoiseach says it is not too late for world leaders to tackle climate change and that Ireland is ready to play its part. Addressing COP26 in Glasgow, Micheál Martin says it's vital for countries to take urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Tax revenues in October were 35% ahead of target. There was an exchequer deficit of €7.4 billion for the year to the end of October. That compares to a deficit of €11.6 billion for the same period last year. 9:02.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Book your Christmas winter sunbreak in Lanzarote, Tenerife and Gran Canaria.
Mostly cloudy in all areas tomorrow with some patchy light rain in the south and west, largely dry further north and east. Highs of 11 to 14 degrees tomorrow. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
Yeah, well done to Debbie Brady, who is working away in Crumlin Post Office today. When we called her just after 3 o'clock, Debbie knew the correct amount in the cash machine was €6,271.39. So that money will be making its way into her bank account. Not too bad. You could be our next winner. Just make sure you're listening at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning on News Talk Breakfast, when Shane and Ciara will tell you exactly how much you could win.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch every single live Premier League game on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then.
What about your start to the game? It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should there be an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Yeah, welcome along to Tuesday night's football show. Richie McCormack here with you right until the end of play tonight in the Champions League, and it is a busy night in the Champions League. It is half time in Bergamo in Group F, where it's Atalanta 1, Manchester United 1. Cristiano Ronaldo, who else, equalised for United after Josip Ilicic had given Atalanta a 12th minute lead. Elsewhere in that group, Villarreal are 1-0 up at home to Young Boys. They're 2 minutes into the second half in Spain. In that one, it's Etienne Capoe's goal that separates the sides. Earlier, Chelsea 1-0 winners away to Malmo. They now have 9 points from 4 games in Group H. Juventus and St. Petersburg are 1-1, or Zenit I should say, are 1-1 in St. Petersburg in the other game in Group H. As I say, 3 minutes played in the second half in that one. Bayern Munich 2-1 up at home to Benfica. In Group E, still scoreless between Dinamo Kiev and Barcelona. Also in Group E tonight. And in Group G, Wolfsburg 2-1 winners at home to Salzburg, and Sevilla 1, Lille 1 is the latest score from the live match there. Keeping you updated on all of that tonight, and indeed talking Newcastle and the potential appointment of Unai Emery as their new manager with Luke Edwards of the Telegraph shortly enough as well. But I'm delighted to say joining us on the line, and somebody who has been keeping an eye on this United match for us tonight, is former Republic of Ireland and Crystal Palace defender Damien Delaney. Damien, we're reunited after so long. You don't write, you don't call, we don't speak. I'm squirreled away in my little, box at home, in the room, working away, and we don't get to chat, we don't get to riff, we don't get to have the bants, as the kids say anymore.
Absolutely not, man. No, I missed you. First time I was happy when I heard it was you was on tonight, because it's been a while.
My hole you did. If
Joe's listening.
I know exactly when Damien Delaney found out it was me that was on air as well, because the soundproof glass is not exactly soundproof between here and the thing. And all I heard was...
I was excited.
No, you weren't. All I heard was, who's on tonight, bud? And Pete had to go, oh, it's Richie's on there. And all I heard was, all right. So, yeah, excited is not exactly the word I would use. But, you know, I'll tell any reaction is better than none at all, I guess, at this stage in my broadcasting career. But thank you. It's brilliant to have you on, Damien. Second half has just kicked off as I speak. What did you make of the first 45?
But what a goal Manchester United scored, by the way.
Super.
Incredible. Like a team goal. Which is the most frustrating thing, because for the other 40, I think it was 4 minutes injury time, so for the other 48 minutes, they were fairly hopeless. Obviously, they went with the back five that they started with against Spurs, but Atalanta had the lion's share of the game. They were giving Manchester United the run around, and United were sat in deep, didn't really look comfortable in the formation, and Atalanta got a deserved goal. Then Rafa Varane got injured, believe it or not, and they've switched back to a flat back four now, and they've gone back to kind of 4-4-1-1 with Bruno playing off Cristiano Ronaldo. So, you know, all the well-laid plans of the five at the back are just gone out the window now. And obviously Eric Bailly isn't the most reliable, so if he gets injured, Lindelof isn't available, then, Diego Dalot's coming on. But look, that goal before half-time is infuriating from my point of view because of the potential that's in this Manchester United team. Like, there's so much potential in this team that if somebody could just get them organised, get them solid, and not have to play 7 defenders like they did against Spurs. Obviously, put Pogba in today to make it a little less defensive, but they were getting the run around really. But I think infuriating at the potential that's in this squad.
Yeah, and we're looking at Atalanta trying to build again on the counter-attack. United scrambling back and getting back in numbers, as you might imagine, given the formation they put. Ilicic is going to take a shot from distance. It's blocked down. It's actually fallen to Zapata, who has just seen his shot fluff wide, and it looks as if that is a crisis averted for the time being, at least for Manchester United.
I have just seen Eric Bailly, I think it is, go down injured there at the end of this move, after just saying that he's not the most reliable of people. Hopefully that's nothing too serious, because that would be awkward for Manchester United if they lost 2 to 3 centre-backs and Harry Maguire was the only one. But just I think he goes down and stays down here. I'm sure he'll be okay. It didn't look a whole pile.
Yeah.
But, you know, this new system that they had against Spurs and started with tonight just kind of shows the shambolic nature that this squad has been put together in, because, you know, you've got so many wingers sitting on the bench now, but all of a sudden Manchester United aren't playing with wingers. And now they're playing with 3 centre-backs, and they've only got 3 centre-backs really. So if one gets injured, they're in trouble.
It's a puzzling one, especially when you see the injury to Varane this evening, and it looks like, you know, from a United perspective, they'll hope as we're watching Cristiano Ronaldo break and try and free Bruno Fernandes, who spins and gets a right-footed shot away, and it's blocked down by the Atalanta defence. Again, Manchester United 1-1 away to Atalanta tonight, but their next port of call was to stick on Mason Greenwood. So you're thinking that if you're this married to a formation that has served you well for the last game and a half, but your first choice centre-back comes off, so let's stick on another striker.
It's incredible. Like that, the centre-back gets injured, you bring on a left winger, or he's playing right wing tonight. So, like,
I absolutely appreciate it if in the moment he sees that there's something there for them in the game, but it just strikes as being a little bit odd, particularly at that point in the match. Like, that kind of substitution would make sense if your centre half goes off injured with 20 minutes to play, game still in the melting pot. Let's stick on a striker and see what we get from this. When there's still 9 minutes to go to half time, and then you're sticking on the striker, that makes me wonder what you were thinking with starting with this formation in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, it's carry-on football. That's what it is. I mean, he's literally making it up as he goes along. I think he, you know, any manager, like top manager, I think Tuchel, Klopp, Guardiola, they have a set of values, a set of ideas, core values.
We're seeing Mason Greenwood break through. He's hit the woodwork. It's the second time tonight that United have hit the woodwork, and it looks like, as Damien mentioned, a flag for offside. Brilliant one-touch football again. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was just outside the box. Paul Pogba played Greenwood through, and it shows you what they're capable of.
Absolutely. When you get these guys organised, but it's so off the cuff, just like the manager. The manager's off the cuff, like with the way he set the team up tonight is incredible. I mean, like you said, it makes no right. There's no rhyme or reason to how he set the team up, or how he's like gone after it when they went 1-0 down. But as I said, like, all the top managers have a set of values, core principles, ideas. And even you think of Klopp last year when things weren't going well for Liverpool, he didn't all of a sudden just throw everything out. He just kept the system and brought young lads in and trusted that he'd get it done. But I mean, he's just gone throw everything out the window. I mean, you spent 80, 90 million quid on Jadon Sancho, and you're not playing with wingers. Mason Greenwood's on the bench, Cavani and Ronaldo starting on the weekend. Now it's Ronaldo and Rashford. So unless he's doing this just to kind of settle the ship, get everyone organised, but I think it doesn't bode well for Manchester United, because this system worked well against Spurs, but it's not going to win you trophies. It's not going to get you out, go the distance anyway past the round of 16 in the Champions League, because once you go up against teams like Liverpool and Bayern Munich and the PSGs of this world, you're going to have to get extremely lucky to get through those ties, and you might get lucky in one leg, but you're not getting lucky in two. So for me, it's a step backwards to steady the ship, but it's just delaying the inevitable for me.
Yeah, the thing about it struck me, the one criticism, I think, the one consistent criticism, we'll say, that arose.
I tell you what, McTominay just threw a stray arm there. He just got a yellow card for it.
Atalanta defender is floored and kind of clutching his face and making the mess of this one. But McTominay was saying his jersey was being grabbed and he wanted to get away from his marker there, but instead, as you mentioned, Damien, he's flung out an arm. We're just waiting to see the replay here. It's a bit much to say that there was a mad, huge swing. He basically has an arm wedged in his neck and does enough to physically shove him over.
Yeah, but once referees see that and the referee sprinted towards the incident, I thought, that could be a possible red there, but yellow's probably about right. His arm is a little bit high, but sorry, Rich, on you go.
The one, lost my train of thought looking at Scott McTominay's elbow. No, my one train of thought was the work rate was the issue that came out of the Liverpool game. That they weren't closing down, that they weren't, pressing, that they weren't essentially willing to run, and that's been a constant from United. It's not been their, formation. It's not been what positions the players are laid out in on the pitch. It's been work rate and effort, and those things have been lacking. I don't see how a change of formation changes that.
I think I'd have to disagree with that. I think there's a lack of coherence in the team. I think the players are a little bit lost out there. One decides it's time to press, another one doesn't. You look at all the best pressing teams in the world, they're almost telepathic, that they know when the ball goes into certain situations, there's triggers. That's what the word the coaches use, triggers of when the press goes. I don't think Manchester United have any triggers. It's just if you feel like you can get someone's head down, you can get someone's heads down. But the problem you have is if you've got a central midfield player that decides, Bruno, for instance, decides, I'm going to run down the centre half, but the left winger decides it's not an opportunity to press, then you get players on different wavelengths, different pages, so to speak, and it looks very disorganised and disjointed. And I think it is a touch easy, and you're not the only one to say that they're lazy. I just think they're disorganised, and the manager has finally admitted that he can't organise them, he can't get them in a shape to press, or either the message isn't getting to the players, or the players can't take the message on board. So he's decided that he's just going to go 180 degrees the other way and just play 7 defenders like he did against Spurs. But I mean, there's a serious low ceiling with that system, and there's a serious shelf life with it. You might get away with it against Spurs, but they're playing against a decent Champions League level team, but not an elite level team. And I think they were found wanting in the first half. It's only, again, a moment of brilliance, which you can't rely on. So a counter-attack or a moment of brilliance. They got a moment of brilliance in the first half. And by the way, it was a moment of brilliance. It was one of the best work goals I've seen for a very long time. But it was off the cuff, and that's why Manchester United are where they are. That's why they have the inconsistencies that they have.
While I have you, Damien, I want to talk a little bit about Spurs, and don't forget our football coverage on Off the Ball is brought to you by Sky. They appointed Antonio Conte today. They tried to appoint him in the summer. He said no. He said today in a statement that he was too emotionally attached to Inter, who he'd fallen out with because they wouldn't give him a budget to buy players in the summer because they couldn't afford them. That's why they sold Romelu Lukaku. But he was too emotionally attached to Inter to join up with Spurs, who weren't offering him a massive pile of cash to buy players in the summer. But now 4 months later, the time is right for him to come on board. They seemingly have finally gotten their man. Is he the right man for Spurs?
Well, is Spurs the right team for him? It would be more the question that I would ask. I mean, this guy has an elite mentality. He does not suffer fools easily. And I would say that there's more than one I won't say fool at Tottenham, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But Daniel Levy managed to convince Jose Mourinho to come in, and we all thought that it was going to be a turning point for Spurs, and Levy was finally going to back the manager and make life good for him. But it didn't transpire that way. Maybe he sold Conte a dream, or maybe he sold Conte something that he didn't say to Jose. I can't help but think that the discussions that were had was that Harry Kane's going to be sold in January, and that's probably going to fund Antonio Conte's 5 or 6 players that he probably requires. Tottenham aren't the type of team that are going to just keep Harry Kane and give Antonio Conte 100 million quid. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if Harry Kane went to because I think Harry Kane has shown at the start of the season that he's just downing tools is probably too strong a word, but he's fed up with Tottenham, and he's, I suppose, down tools, for the want of a better word. Oh my God,
Duvan Zapata has gone through, and he's gone and put Atalanta 2 goals to 1 ahead, and it is offside, as you mentioned there. It's not 2-1 ahead at all, it's 1-1. But yeah, it shows what's capable in terms of cutting through Manchester United, and pretty quickly as well, going from back to front in a way that United haven't been able to so far. We're just seeing the ball played through, and yeah, Zapata just offside, I'd say.
I'll tell you what, there'll be some lines drawn on this, because I think Harry Maguire in the middle, his foot, I think he probably is, but it's a lot closer than what the Manchester United players looked very confident when they were appealing for it.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones that you thought he was well offside, but I don't think he was. Still, I mean, again, just one ball in between the 2 centre-backs. Now, he's a big, powerful boy.
It's a fantastic finish too.
Yeah, I think they're looking at this. It's a little bit close, a lot closer than what it looked.
Yeah, Kopermans and Paul Pogba are flanking the referee at the moment. He is looking to hear back from base and see what their line drawing is going to result in, because this could be a crucial moment in this season of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United. The score is 1-1. They're 11.5 minutes into the second half in Bergamo in this Group F game in the Champions League, and Duvan Zapata might have put Atalanta 2-1 ahead. They're certainly taking their time about this. Referee is staring off into space, pretending there aren't players around him, causing him pressure and getting in his ear and telling him to decide one way or the other, because that ain't going to work anyway. And we're just waiting to see the outcome of this one. We're not having the benefit of replays and the line drawing, which we could do with.
Yeah.
We could do with.
Not done any, because there's been a few incidences tonight in this game where it's gone to VAR as a potential handball against Eric Bailly, and they never went to look at it either. And then I think there was another offside too. So I think maybe UEFA have obviously decided not to show this line drawing business, or the process of it really. But it must be close, because it's taken an awfully long time.
Yeah, this one would have been, if it was as cut and dried as I thought it was initially, then I think this would have been given as offside a moment or two ago. They're certainly going to give this a forensic check to see whether or not Zapata was offside. Whistle is coming to mouth, and which way are we going to go? He's going to have a look at it. Goal. There we go. 2-1 to Atalanta. It is, or has he gone back in the play? Yes, it's a goal. Yes, indeed, it's a goal. Atalanta 2 goals to 1 up, and the players belatedly, much as there was confusion there, they're heading over towards Zapata and
it was Harry Maguire's right foot in the middle. Eric Bailly Eric Bailly's had a great game tonight. He's been really, really good, but he's so high risk. I mean, the amount of times he's just gone to try and win things, he's gone into midfield. Like here, he just, he's no thought to what's going on behind him. And Duvan Zapata just runs off the back of him. And I think it's Harry Maguire in the middle. His right foot is just playing him onside, I think. I mean, it's millimetres, it's toenail stuff, really. But it's a hell of a finish as well. And I think for the way that Atalanta have started the second half, they deserve it. And Manchester United are going to need another moment of magic.
Yeah,
from one of their star players.
It was a floated ball over the top from Palomino, and Zapata, with his first goal in the Champions League group stage, has given Atalanta a 2-1 lead. There's 58 minutes played on the clock. Coming back to the Spurs situation, because you mentioned there, you're figuring they'll cut bait, sell Kane, and in a similar situation to what we saw, I guess, when Gareth Bale went off to Real Madrid, they're going to use that money to reinvest in the squad, rather than just handing Antonio Conte a fresh pot of 150 million quid to buy whomever he wants in January.
Well, they must have told him some. Oh my God, buy is again. The guy is just he just can't take a backward step. He just goes flying into everything.
And they now don't have cover. He's being brought into that position now because essentially they've deprived themselves of the centre back that they had at the start of the game.
I mean, listen, it's highlight reel stuff. Some of it is incredible, but it's so high risk.
If you're playing alongside a defender like Bailly, what are you saying to him at the moment?
You can't say anything to him. He just has no even first gear. It's just anytime the ball gets played forward, he just wants to go into midfield and win it. And when he goes in there and intercepts it or nails someone, it looks brilliant. But 2 or 3 times tonight, I mean, the first goal that they got caught on, he actually went in to win it, and McTominay stuck a toe out to try to intercept it, and actually the toe poked it wrong by to let Zapata in the first one. But he's had 4 or 5 incredibly good moments that, like, you know, it looked great on the highlight reel later, but just 1 or 2 little ones, and that's just the type of defender that he is. I like him a lot, but it's just someone could just tell him just calm down a little bit, or just, you know, pause or think about it, you know, the risk reward element of the decision you're making. Sorry, but anyway, back to Spurs. Yeah, I think Harry Kane is done there. I think that the club kind of hedged their bets in the summer that, he would come back and he'd be a good team player and a good captain and roll his sleeves up and work hard. And I think Harry Kane has probably threatened these types of performances and said, if you don't sell me, I'm not going to try and whatnot. Well, they just nicked it again.
Dispossessed again. Have Atalanta. Zapata is free, waiting in the centre. The cross doesn't meet him, and United will clear again. But yeah, we'll stick with the United game for a minute, because as you mentioned there, Bailly is an accident waiting to happen. We've seen a lot in the past few moments. United being dispossessed very easily while in possession, and even scrappy ball, they're not being the first to it. They're being beaten to the scrappy ball.
They're so spread out, Rich, that, like, you know what I mean? The back four on the edge of the 18-yard box, and midfield players on the halfway line, and Ronaldo's, you know, up front on his own. So when the ball turns over, there's oceans and oceans of space. There's no kind of rhythm to Manchester United. There's no solidity. This is the reason why he doesn't play this system, and this is why Liverpool put 5 past them, because they have no cohesion. They're not an organised team. And the 7 defenders he went with against Spurs kind of negated all those problems, because you just had defensive players in defensive positions, and those spaces weren't there. And then you're just relying on your world-class players or your moments of magic to come. But then your moments of magic, you're winning games. Whereas this system, you're always chasing, because you're going to concede chances, you're going to concede opportunities. And then, of course, you come up against an elite-level team like Liverpool, and you get what was coming, really, and that was coming tonight against a decent level team, but not an amazing team. Oh my God, boy, he's at it again. He's having a good old battle with Zapata there. It's actually quite good to watch, but as a manager, you'd be so nervous watching him, because he's just one poor... Like, the thing about when you're a centre-back, a centre-forward can be wrong 9 times out of 10, and it doesn't matter. He only needs to be right once, whereas Bailly is the complete opposite. He could be right 9 times out of 10, but if he's wrong once, which he was for the goal, really, it's heartbreak for him, but it's entertaining, I suppose, to watch. Yeah,
but the prophetic words of Paul Scholes, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, were when he was watching the home match, the reverse fixture, this at Old Trafford, when United found themselves 2-0 down at half time, was that, you know, Jurgen Klopp would be rubbing his hands looking at this, and obviously Klopp, being the manager that he is, as he wasn't doing no such thing, etc. But to a degree, if you're Pep Guardiola watching this, especially coming off the chastening, defeat to your own former club Crystal Palace at the weekend, heading into a Manchester derby against a United team that is so loose in terms of what they offer the opposition in terms of ball, like, you will be rubbing your hands if you're Pep Guardiola looking at this.
Yeah, but I think the reason that they're in Klopp is because they play such a different brand of football. They play such a high intensity, high tempo. When they win it back, they go for the jugular straight away. So when the ball turns over, they go right towards goal. They don't, very, very rarely, the Liverpool win the ball back, go square and go backwards. Whereas Man City are different. They'll just wait for the openings. And I think that there we see the offside again. Sorry, he's a good bit onside, actually. Yeah, it's a good half a yard. But they just showed it there with the lines on it. He's actually well onside. I think Pep Guardiola will be a little bit worried, because that's why Manchester United have a good record against City and against Pep, because, Man City will force them in, and then that when he plays those 7 defenders or 8 defenders that sit back in, they put themselves in a good spot to counter-attack. So it's not a bad matchup for them, but they won't have the ball, but that might suit them. But I think Liverpool really enjoyed it, because, they just don't take a backward step. They just go forward all the time. So it'll be a good matchup, but I think Pep will have, learned his lessons from last season, really, and maybe might go a little bit different, or try and bring something different to the derby on the weekend. But if Manchester United lose this, Oh my God, he's in
another
again.
break here as well. We're seeing frequently they're finding space in the channels. Ilicic in particular, given the advanced nature of Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka and what they're still being asked to do, despite the fact there's two centre halves. Atalanta are finding a lot of space in behind, and
they're so far apart. Like Shaw, Maguire and Boy. Like, I mean, at that stage, Boy was about 5 yards outside the 8-yard box, and Maguire was actually in Atalanta's half. I mean, that's never a good situation when you get two centre backs that are that far apart. Look, I think Atalanta look more odds on to get a third here, unless Manchester United come up with another moment of magic.
We all know what's coming at the end of this game, Damien.
Absolutely.
Don't pretend otherwise. Don't pretend that Atalanta are going to go 3-1 up here and play this one out until the 95th minute and then we're gone. What we're going to see here is Cristiano Ronaldo is going to stay on the pitch, despite the fact that he's looked, leggy and a little bit out of sorts tonight. He's going to stay on the pitch and he's going to get an equaliser with about a minute or two to go, and then United will probably get their tails up and go and source a winner from somewhere, probably himself as well.
That's what they've been doing, but you can't get away with that every week. I mean, you just can't. It's
just constant papering over cracks and stuff like that. That's the impression I get.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing as well with Conte going to Spurs is United have missed out on him now. So you think of the managers they've missed out on recently that they could have just accepted, reality and the inevitable. Really, Tuchel, Pochettino, and now Conte. Who are they going to go with? Ten Hag out of Ajax. Unai Emery looks like he's going to Newcastle. Brendan Rodgers possibly. I know I got laughed out of town last year when I said he wouldn't be a bad fit for Manchester United because of his Liverpool connections. But you're kind of running out of options, really. They
haven't exactly been shopping in the high expensive aisle in terms of managers for the last while. They've secured big names for the last couple of appointments with Solskjaer in terms of his club profile, with Van Gaal and with Mourinho, but they certainly haven't got any of those managers at the top of their game for the last couple of appointments. And it looks like they'll be in the same situation again, as we're looking at United trying to build a break, trying to find space in behind on the left-hand side. For Mason Greenwood, is it? I can't see the numbers are a bit off.
It is.
But Demiral has just ushered that ball out of play. But they haven't appointed a manager at the top of their game since Ferguson in '86. And that's the reality of it. We can laugh about it, but that is the reality of it, because given the nature of how long he was there, they went 27 years with him there, and then bring in David Moyes, a bit of a punt, who's gone on to show what he's really made of, I guess, in West Ham over the last year or so. But I want to touch on as well, we mentioned Man City there before we let you go, Damien. The job Palace did on them last weekend, because it wasn't just City capitulating and not playing well. Johnny mentioned it just before 9 o'clock. Like, Palace deserved that win. Palace have been really finding a tune under Patrick Vieira, and Conor Gallagher has been the standout performer for them over the last while. And they still have one of my favourite players as well in Eberechi Eze to come back into the side too. That's a very exciting looking front for final third for Palace, all built on a pretty decent foundation as well.
Yeah, listen, there was a huge amount of work went in over the summer. The recruitment, Dougie Freeman, director of football there, and the chairman, Steve Parish, really made a pivot, 180 degrees, and went from, Roy Hodgson, which is, percentages and that type of football, to trying to dominate the ball. And they've averaged over 51% possession this season. And they've been great. They just haven't managed to get results over the line. They've drawn, they only lost once, they only won once. I think they drew 6. That's up before Saturday. But I suppose when you have a new squad together, there's a period of learning how to win games of football, but they've got enough experienced players there. James MacArthur and Joel Ward have been at Crystal Palace for a very long time. And it's a really good feeling around the club. A new academy opened during the week. They're now Category 1 academy, which is huge for a football club. And the age profile has been lowered significantly with the likes of Eze and Olise. They signed the cream of kind of the championship, really, and players with potential and a sell-on value, as opposed to just going for sure things that have no real kind of value after a certain point, and shelling out big wages for ex-players. Sorry, not ex-players, but ex-big name players. So it's a great shift for them, and that's a huge win, and hopefully that'll be a springboard for them to to push on and start looking towards Europe, or maybe getting to a cup final of some description.
Elise looks like a real player and a real prospect, and one that they like. Unlike Gallagher, who'll obviously head back to Chelsea and possibly into their first team next year, like Elise looks like a player that they can kind of build that side around and depend upon for the next few years to come. Get Eze back fit as well, and they look like a magic front front area, as mentioned, going forward for the next 2-3 years.
Absolutely, and the real good thing is, the couple of guys I still do speak to at the club, the one thing they always go on about is how good the young lads are that have come in, their work ethic and their determination, and the type of lads they are. Elise is by all accounts one of the hardest working players at the club. He's first one in, and he's there till 4:30, 5 o'clock every day, looking to get better and better and better. And that's such a good sign, when you bring in these players, and that type of hunger and that type of attitude rubs off on the whole place, and that's when you can really start moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting times ahead, particularly with a character like Vieira heading forward in the next couple of years at Crystal Palace, and they seem to be doing it off a really good base as well in terms of academy work, as you mentioned there. Like it's not throwing money at it and hoping for the best. It's actual nuts and bolts, decent football club kind of stuff. Damien, listen, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. We'll let you enjoy the final few minutes of this game. Atalanta leading Manchester United by 2-1. Luis Muriel coming on for Atalanta at the moment. Nemanja Matic, and it was, who's the striker? Edinson Cavani have just come on for United, so the young legs of Cavani and Matic on for Rashford and for Paul Pogba. Josip Ilicic, scorer of that first goal for Atalanta tonight, heading off to be replaced by Muriel. 20 minutes to go. Damien Delaney, thank you so much for that. We'll be back after these, talking Newcastle with Luke Edwards.
Watch Premier League, Women's Super League, EFL, Scottish Premiership and much more live on Sky Sports.
News Talk Breakfast.